I'm here to tell you why you guys are all wrong about Reminiscence, because this is Lisa Joy's first directorial debut as a filmmaker. She's, of course, one of the main co-creators of Westworld with her husband, Jonathan Nolan, who's, of course, yes, the brother, the Christopher Nolan, one of my favorite directors of all time. I've been very curious about this movie, but I saw the Rotten Tomatoes score for this thing, and at the time of filming this video, it's currently 37%. I'm pretty baffled by that, to be completely honest, because I walked out of this movie absolutely in love. And while it's not perfect, it's kind of my little perfect thing, and I got a lot to say about this one. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing Reminiscence in non-spoiler fashion. And of course, this is my video telling you guys why you are wrong about Reminiscence and why this is actually a pretty damn good film. In fact, it's a great movie that affected me in quite a different ways that I didn't expect it to. And there's a lot to love in here. And like I said, not perfect. But even those small minor inconveniences did not get in the way of my enjoyment with this. But the most important thing is I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, because film is subjective. And even though I said why you're wrong, but I do understand that there will be people who don't enjoy the film as much as I do. So let's have those great conversations down below, and as well as make sure they hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies and TV over here on a daily basis. Reminiscence is about Nick Bannister, a private investigator of the mind, navigating the alluring world of the past when his life is changed by a new client, May. A simple case becomes an obsession after she disappears, and he fights to learn the truth about her. This is once again directed and written by Lisa Joy, and it also stars the likes of Hugh Jackman, Rebecca Ferguson, Thandiwe Newton, Cliff Curtis, and Daniel Wu. Like I said, I was pretty excited for Reminiscence. I'm a pretty big fan of Westworld when it comes down to that entire thing. I love what Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan are doing over there, even though there are some directions that the last season took that I wasn't the biggest fan of. But even then, that's how TV works. But I wanted to see what her creative vision was going to be able to do within a movie. And the thing is, I love the trailer, I love the poster, I loved everything that I was hearing about it, but the thing I loved about it was I didn't know what I was going to be getting when going inside this movie. I saw some sci-fi elements in the trailer, and it kind of gave me vibes of Inception, and this is very different than anything close to Inception. In fact, I would put this more in the Blade Runner category. This is superbly a neo-noir film that is sleek, beautiful, and very much emotional at its core, because one of the things that I'm fascinated by is time and our past, and in general, who do you spend that time with? There are memories that we look back on that we probably wish that we could relive with either a loved one or someone in our lives, and we're in a place now that maybe they are not in our lives anymore, whether they have passed or just in general left us. Those are elements that Lisa Joy explores in this movie, and again, that addiction of looking to the past and how that addiction can very much affect us, and how our past sins can come back to ruin our present and our future. There are elements in here that I was very much not even frustrated by, but flustered by, in an emotional way that had me sitting there thinking about my own life by the time the film had ended. Those are things that I feel like are going to go over people's heads and not be able to jump onto them. Whereas for me, I was sitting there just totally enwrapped within this story, and Hugh Jackman wanting to find out to what happened to this girl that he fell in love with. You can kind of see from the earlier perspectives of the movie of how his character is very much more of a loner. The only friend that he has is pretty much Thandiwe Newton, and he doesn't really even see that. Speaking about Thandiwe Newton, can we get her in more movies? I absolutely love her. She is by far my favorite character in Westworld, and anytime she shows up in something, she is the big standout, and here she is one as well. Thandiwe Newton. Let's get her in more things, Hollywood. Come on. Going back, of course, to Hugh Jackman's character, once you start to kind of understand the parallels of this relationship with him and Rebecca Ferguson, which, again, Rebecca Ferguson, incredible in this as well. The thing about Hugh Jackman's character is there's just so much to understand, and while, again, this is that sleek, beautiful neo-noir that I was talking about, for me, the overall mystery of finding out where Rebecca Ferguson's character had ended up going, I was very enwrapped with, because I fully believed in Hugh Jackman's relationship with her. And I love how they built that relationship up, and again, explored the past and the present, and how that stuff can very much come to mix in, and how choices in our lives might catch up if we aren't truthful about them. This is something that happens with May's character that I, again, can very much relate to. Of course, even diving in there a little bit more, I love that at the center of this entire neo-noir mystery was a romance. I'm a sappy guy, trust me, I'm a sappy dude. But when it comes down to elements like that, those are some of the things that very much entrance me to fall in love deeper with elements like this. And if because of that whole entire story and because of Lisa Joy's layered direction with able to bring about, again, a mystery and a neo-noir in this sci-fi world that is kind of post-apocalyptic because the whole entire world has a lot of the ocean in capturing it, you really much feel that there is so much built up in here, but at the center of it all and really much focusing in on this just little corner pocket of the world, for me, hit in the right ways. Will, if we're going to talk about it, I didn't say this film was perfect, even though I love the little perfect story they told us. I would have loved to explore the world a little bit more of the mythology built all around here, and I think that might be a big frustration for some people exploring this all. And maybe some people might look at it and be like, well, why did you have to set it up in this post-apocalyptic world? You probably could have just set it up here, and there, and changed a couple things, and absolutely you could have. But it didn't bother me at all, and that's really weird for me to say because I'm pretty big on mythology, and I would love for that stuff to be expanded on, and none of my cons really come down to that. A lot of them are more just things that I would have loved to see and maybe explored later down the road on, say, I don't know, an HBO Max series. If we're getting down to any cons, when I was started the movie, I sat there going, okay, like Thandiwe Newton's character, for instance, I would love a little bit more development on this and some more into this backstory because they mention certain things and don't really explore them. And while, again, I would have liked that, there's some stuff that happens towards the third act where you really much start to understand everyone when you start to think back and you're like, oh shit, there's this mysterious past that I'm starting to kind of learn about. And again, very brushed over fast, but it didn't bother me. Again, I was so enwrapped in the emotion and in general Hugh Jackman's story here that even though some characters got maybe a little bit sidelined, there should have been a little bit more development here. And I think that actually goes to, I think the film should have been longer. It did feel rushed in a couple of different instances where I feel like, okay, there was a little bit more fleshing out that could have been done here, or maybe a little bit here. And they really much centered it more onto this story. Again, these are just things that I kind of wish we would have seen. I wonder if that's some of the stuff that people will be focusing in on and wanting more of, instead of the actual story itself. That story is the thing that I was centered on, and I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this one, because I haven't even mentioned Hugh Jackman yet. I mean, I've mentioned the name, but I haven't talked about his performance. I, God forbid, love this guy as an actor, and I think no matter what film he shows up in, he gives it his all, but always transforms into this character. And for this, he's playing Nick Bannister in here, into this sci-fi world where he is kind of exploring these people's dreams, their memories, all that sorts of things. And I loved how they were able to bring it all about in here, and his performance is just excellent. He vanishes into this character once again. One of the things that I actually heard about reading about this movie was that the technology you see in this, they actually made to bring into the film so the performances could feel more real, as instead of just looking at like a CGI screen, they're really much looking at this weird 3D dimensional sci-fi peripheral thing that it just kind of blew my mind away to hear that there's some sort of instance of technology that is real. Maybe I read that on the wrong website, but almost other reviews that I've read and other things that I've detailed into, I've seen and I'm like, damn, they actually build something new for this. It becomes the elements like that I just continuously cannot stop thinking about this film. It's been a couple hours since I saw the movie and I continuously cannot get this film off my mind. Adding into it, the thing that weaved this whole entire story together was also the phenomenal score from, of course, the composer who gave us Game of Thrones, which absolutely thank you for that. When we look at Lisa Joy, she always has something up her sleeve. And that's one of the things that I love about it, that spikes up the plot. While I just love this mystery and the way that she builds it about, every twist and turn had me on the edge of my seat, wanting to see what was coming next. And I do think there are a couple plot conveniences in here for really much getting down to like things I didn't like. And there is one character in here that's in it for maybe less than 10 minutes, who I think was a little over the top into this world. But even then, I love how Lisa Joy was able to kind of whip out these magic tricks, in a sense, and keep us engaged with Hugh Jackman's pursuit to find this woman. Visual style here that Joy very much brings in feels very different than, say, Nolan and Westworld. It really much feels like her own creative vision, and I like that. I was a little bit worried that maybe it would feel a little bit too similar, but this is very much her baby from the ground up. I know from the trailer we've seen a couple fight scenes, but there is one inside this piano room that was visually impressive, but also very engaging and keeping you on edge. I adored Lisa Joy's Reminiscence. It's a beautiful, sleek, imaginative, and emotional sci-fi neo-noir that I couldn't get enough of. With an incredible score and a powerful performance from Jackman and Joy's layered directing, I will be championing this one all of 2021. I believe that everyone is wrong on this one. And again, film is subjective, so we can have those conversations down below, but I just walked away going, how is it this low on Rotten Tomatoes? How are people not enjoying this? It's a slow burn, but it's one that I ate every single second of. And when the ending hit, it hit my heart into such an emotional string that I had some tears in my eyes, guys. I said I was a sappy guy, and with the romance weaved into this, it just worked wonders for me. And I love this film. I love this film. I'm definitely going to go see it again in theaters this week. I'm going to take the girlfriend to it. So with all that said, I'm going to give Reminiscence an A-. It's going to be an interesting one to hear your guys' thoughts on. So make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' overall thoughts. Let's have those great conversations down below. And of course, make sure to head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. And of course, it's a big thank you to you and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters, because without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. I'm really, really in love with this movie, and I can't stop thinking about it. I can't wait to rewatch it all over again to see the little tidbits that maybe I missed. But let's have those great conversations down below, guys. And of course, until next time, stay classy.